Alice and Jane. Both of them had similar houses, but no two gardens could have looked more different. Alice had one that was a delight to all eyes, and Jane had a pile of rubbish in hers. Alice took good care of her garden. Such flowers she had, and near the fence she shared with Jane was a grass plot green like emeralds and smooth as velvet, with not a weed in it. Everyone who saw Alice's garden said,
"This is the prettiest garden in town."
Jane, on the other hand, paid no attention to her garden. It was as bare as the palm of your hand, and there was a heap of dirt and ashes as high as a hillock near the fence. Everybody who passed by turned their eyes away from it, saying,
"This must be the ugliest spot in the whole town."
Alice worked hard to keep her garden pretty, but in spite of all her care, whenever the east wind blew, it brought with it a whirl of rubbish from Jane's garden and scattered it among her flowers. Whenever Alice looked from her windows or walked in her garden, she saw Jane's garden. She would always think, "I wish I were 1,000 miles away from it." And if she made up her mind, as sometimes she did, that she would not be bothered by Jane's garden, the east wind was sure to come with a whirl of rubbish. "Oh," Alice would sigh, "I'm always clearing my garden. I wish Jane would do something about hers." Alice puzzled and planned. She wished and she worked, but she did not know what to do about Jane's garden. Alice was at the end of her wits, when one day a fairy came to her in a dream. "Don't worry," said the fairy. "In your own garden grows a magic flower that can set things right. Find it. If you tend it well and wait patiently, you shall see magic." The next morning, Alice went into her garden and looked carefully at all the plants. She walked all around the garden, looking at every single flower. Suddenly, a tiny pink bud in the plot of grass caught her eye. She did not remember planting it. Could this be the magic flower? Alice asked herself. Alice tended the plant and watched it and waited to see what would happen. And while she was watching and waiting, the plant burst into bloom, the loveliest bloom. Every blossom was as rosy as the little clouds at sunrise, and Alice's garden was more beautiful than before because of them.
"This is surely the prettiest garden in the whole country,"
said everyone who passed by. But Jane's garden continued to be as bare and ugly as ever. The heap of dirt and ashes grew larger every day. Whenever the wind blew from the east, it brought a whirl of the rubbish into Alice's garden, just as it had always done. Alice looked each morning to see if the flower had worked its magic, but morning after morning, nothing changed. "It is long waiting and weary watching for magic things to work," Alice thought. But she believed her dream and tended the plant day after day, and hoped in her heart that something might come of it yet. By and by the pink blossoms faded and fell, and after them came the seeds. Hundreds and hundreds of feathery seeds there were, and one day the wind from the west came by and blew them away in a whirl over the fence into Jane's garden. No one saw them go, not even Alice knew what had become of them. As for Jane's garden, it was as ugly as ever with its ash heap and its rubbish. Everybody who passed it turned their eyes away from it. Alice herself could look at it no longer. "I will look at my garden instead," she said to herself, and so she did. She continued to keep her garden pretty, but she kept her eyes away from the other garden. And if the wind from the east blew ash and rubbish among her flowers, Alice raked it away and worried about it no more. Summer slipped into autumn and autumn turned to winter. The flowers slept, and at the first peep of spring, Alice's garden budded and bloomed once more. She began tending it, wondering if she should take care of the pink blooms again. If these flowers were special, they should have worked their magic by now. But she decided to continue. One day, as Alice was weeding the garden, she heard passers-by call out in delight.
"Of all the gardens in town, there are none so pretty as these two."
And when Alice looked around in surprise to see what they meant, she saw that Jane's garden was full of flowers, hundreds of lovely blossoms, everyone as rosy as the little clouds at sunrise. They covered the heap of dirt and ashes. They clustered about the fence, and they filled the corners. In the middle of all this beauty was Jane, gardening as busily as if she were Alice herself. "It is fine weather for flowers," Jane said, nodding and smiling at Alice. The finest in the world, replied Alice. She nodded and smiled too, for she knew that the magic flower had done its work.